Happy Friday, and also happy July, SMITE fans. Welcome in to the SMITE Challenger Circuit. We've got a shorter SEC broadcast today because it's Friday. That means the SPL Waiting Room and the SMITE Pro League are back this afternoon, but we've got a great one here in the EU SEC to finish off this week in play over in EU. And we've got a matchup between one of the top teams, one of the bottom teams, hoping to build up some momentum. So make sure to stay tuned for a full day of competitive SMITE action. My name's Dolson. Trelly Rayleigh is with me. Trelly, a relatively quick day yesterday in the SEC. You know, we're used to a lot of the games dragging out 30, 45, 50 minutes sometimes. Mifflin and I had like a 3-hour set last week. Feels like the further we get into the phase, the team's kind of figuring out one another and how they want to play their brand of SMITE.
Yeah, it was interesting because I also was expecting a little bit of a longer set, particularly in the first one, Mambo v. the Gladiators. I thought at least go into 3, but both of those games were quick. Mambo played a different style of SMITE, right? Usually It's about 2 kills, 25 minutes, give or take. This was pretty action-packed given the situation. I think it was like 17 kills or something. I was like, wait, this is a different style of play. So the undefeated Hex Mambo really opening up, and Aaru Scorpions sitting number 2 versus the number 6 Wargs, who have yet to get that win.
Yeah, yet to get the dub. So the Aaru Scorpions with a win here will just be one win off first. The Niflheim Wargs, still an outside shot. When you look at the really at this point, teams 2, 3, and 4, a win for the Wargs here would just put them one win away from second through fourth if they're able to continue winning moving forward. Unfortunately for the Wargs, talking about getting continued success going as an avenue into future LAN events is a difficult thing because the Niflheim Wargs 0-3 up to this point in the phase. You know, it's a tale as old as time with teams like this where there have been moments, yes, look, I mean, it's a 3-game setup against the Gladiator. Certain things go a different way. But what I don't like is at the top of my screen here, at 15 minutes, at 20 minutes, it was a 3-kill game, 4-kill game, and there was like a 5,000-6,000 gold deficit. I think what's worrying about this Wargs team, Trelly, is at times, even in games that might seem close kills-wise, the gold and the objectives just kind of bleed out.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you got to figure out your play style, given the fact that the Wargs have went through multiple roster changes.
It's a different roster.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I think the shell of the Warg squad is just sprinkled throughout the rest of the SEC at this point. There's 2 players from the old Wargs here, 2 players there. You know, it's just nothing really has stayed the same, so I think it's hard to find that sort of consistency. That's probably why we're seeing such a different look every single game. They're trying to figure out their identity, how they're going to play. This was a beautiful play. That's a great highlight to look at. It's not one of those things that happens very often where you see a massive base defense, like a 2v5, and it actually works out. Either way, they're still trying to find their gameplay identity and see how they want to, play this style.
The worst thing about that highlight, Trelly, is they lost that game. If I remember correctly.
They definitely lost the set.
Yeah, they lost the set. Yeah, they clearly didn't win. That was game 3. And so just a couple of minutes later, the Wargs would end up losing that game. You're right. And it's good to talk about the Wargs because that was such a talented team as a whole. And now that you've sort of separated that team out, a lot of different teams have now gotten a boost. The Aaru Scorpions, one of them that have kind of flipped spots with the Wargs from phase number 1. The Aaru Scorpions, a team now, as we mentioned, at 2-1. Some players remaining from the phase 1 Aaru Scorpions. Sarpeii and Predss come over from the Niflheim Wargs from phase 1. And then Panvich, new player of the SEC this phase, over in the solo lane. And the Aaru Scorpions, Trelly, I think still I got to get it out of my head that it's not the Scorpions of last phase. This is now a team that is very competitive, plays good SMITE, and has real good chances every single week to grab a win here in the EU SEC.
Yeah, I would say if anyone is holding on to that mindset that like I would say 90% of these teams are different from phase number 1. So just if you're thinking, this was one of those bottom tier teams, not the case anymore. They're playing at a completely different level. Obviously, they have a couple new members as well, and they're just able to play their own brand of SMITE. I think that's what that's something I want to highlight whenever I look at the SEC level in NA or EU. It's just most of these teams are playing very reactive. It's just, they're playing to the opposition's style of SMITE. They're just trying to, find their own identity. It's something the pros do very well. Not all of them, but some of them. And I think that's the main thing you want to take away in a league like this.
Absolutely. And, in a matchup that may seem lopsided, giving yourself a good chance in picks and bans is always step number 1. So the Niflheim Wargs, I just want to see a good, consistent team composition here. Nothing too high execution. Give yourself an easy opportunity to make things work here in game number 1 and moving forward throughout the set as we roll into P's and B's for game number 1. Yu Huang ends up being ban number 1, Trilly, and we've seen an increase in Yu Huang presence. Admittedly, though, I don't know if I've seen Yu Huang much throughout the first. I think we talked about whether or not to ban Yu Huang against like Paul specifically for the Titans, because even in losing games, he's doing immense amounts of damage. Didn't expect to see Yu Huang in the first 3 bans.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's on the rise. I think teams are finally realizing how much presence he has, even though, it was just a one-off pick in the SPL. I think it's getting more and more prominent, people are understanding, and with the buff to Conduit Gem, his early game is just ridiculous. More often than not, when you see a Yu Huang, first blood is at level 2, like in that mid lane.
Right.
Guaranteed almost, so I understand wanting to ban that away. Grabbing the Ravana here is something that has been also on the rise, and also people not really wanting to deal with that in that solo lane, the mitigation style of build, just so annoying to deal with. The Aaru Scorpions do have the option of grabbing things like Heimdall, though, that have been left through. Again, something that's very prioritized in this league specifically, but Yemoja is also going to get let through.
Trelly, are we at the point, though, now where it feels like teams kind of have an answer to this Raven solo? I mean, it's still obnoxious. Still gets to the point where damage mitigation late in the game, you're taking next to no damage. I feel like a lot of teams have learned how to play around it, and oftentimes it's just try to ignore it, But do you think we're still at a point where Raven has a lot of questions for the other team that don't have an answer yet? Or do you think teams have really figured this out?
As far as I've seen, teams have definitely figured it out. It's more so just, as you said, hey, Raven's defending this left side Phoenix, let's split up, we'll just, disperse our damage. Truth is, he doesn't do much. He just sort of hits you like a wet noodle. You hit him like a wet noodle back, but if you ignore him, getting to the backline doesn't really matter. If he does itemize that way, there is ways to itemize that you don't do that little bit of damage. But yeah, I think there's answers for it. It just depends on how the Aaru Scorpions want to play this, and given the fact that they already have Yemoja and Osiris, they don't have too much damage to deal with it just yet. They're going for their tanks a little bit early.
And Osiris can build into that style of damage mitigation, late game hyper tankiness as well, if this ends up being an Osiris out of the solo lane. On the flip side, the Wargs have gone for their damage. They get Jing, they get Merlin. And honestly, at this point in the meta, it feels like both of those two picks are about as standard late-game, scaly style of pick for their specific roles as you get. It feels like a Jing, you know what you're getting in the late game. Merlin, about as peak average, not skill-wise, but average mage. I mean, it's just a mage, right?
Yeah.
That's literally what he is. And so I think the Wargs, I asked for good standard team composition. Give yourself a chance. I think they've done so in the first 3.
Yeah, thus far, their early game, I think, will be a little lackluster. You highlighted how good they are in the late, and that usually means it takes a while to get to that point. But Olorun for the Aaru Scorpions, a pick that I haven't seen in quite some time in this league particular. It's been a little bit highly prioritized in the SPL. If you can play around that sanctified field, Olorun gets a ton of value. But just banning away some supports on the right side, and the Heimdall and the Baba Yaga actually being taken away by the Wargs. But it looks like Chiron's just going to be locked in here. I think Chiron probably going to the mid, and then, the Olorun in that duo lane just a little bit better. I don't think Olorun in the mid lane gets too much value, but a counter pick to this Olorun that, has been pretty popular in the SPL. Captain Twig, Kiermi both figured this out, and it's the Vamana. You're CC immune in that ult. You don't care about Sanctified Field. If you're moving in slow motion, everyone else is, but not you.
Yeah, I mean, and especially with Vamana back in the meta for a couple of picks at the SPL level. Cthulhu was the answer for a long time because of similar things. He used Descent into Madness. He walked through the Sanctified Field. That's what Colossal Fury feels like now for Vamana. So a strong pick for the Wargs, answered back, though, by an Erlang Shen to finish off the draft. So have seen some flexibility with Erlang Shen, tends to still fall into the jungle, likely meaning Osiris over in the solo lane for this Aaru Scorpion squad. I've really been enjoying the Chiron, the ability-based builds that we've been seeing, again, late in the game. Netruid's really played this build well at the SPL level. Hyper, ability damage, Centaurus starting off fights, finishing off kills. It's a good look. Can the Aaru Scorpions continue their momentum here in the EU SEC? Can the Niflheim Wargs find some momentum here in the EU SEC? That's the question. Game number 1, all important in these best-of-3 sets. And it looks like, Trelly, all of our predictions as far as where picks are landing are correct. And so I think there are lots of counterplay to be had here in this matchup. Of course, the Vamana up against the Olorun. Except we were wrong about one thing, and it's Olorun in mid for Pikarino. I'll put Davy on the Chiron over in dual lane. So it could be somewhat susceptible early on in this matchup. This Olorun could receive a bit of pressure.
Yeah, it is a possibility, given the fact that you're up against a Vamana. Not too much damage in the early. You just really, you're going to blink in, try and do as much as you can, and you really want to wait until level 5. Colossal Fury is when Vamana Jungle, I think, comes online quite hard. You need some movement speed. You can't really chase anyone down without a fair bit of that built in. I think you're still going to get the value out of Olorun even in the mid lane. The 3v3 should go in your favor. You're not going to... I would argue you don't even want to fight around Olorun whenever his ult is available, right? It's just, you're using so much to get so little. If you get the ult cooldown, of course, you can fight after the fact, but I think just Pikarino taking this pick into mid says, hey, we're not looking to look for too much aggression early on, and maybe around like level 9, give or take, we can try and go for an objective pull, something like that. They have a fair bit of burn given the fact that they have this double ADC comp with an Osiris, with an Erlang Shen.
The Aaru Scorpions, Trelly, a team that loves playing around their jungle as well. Sarpeii has consistently been very impressive over here in the EU SEC over the last few years. Made his way around the league, a bunch of different teams, but has always played at a relatively consistent level. So WorstTurttle and Sarpeii, a fun matchup to look forward to. Looks like Cozyx will be going into that Soul Eater build. And so it feels like early in the lane, you get Soul Eater. We've talked plenty about the stats that item has, and then when you upgrade it, just gets better, of course. So it feels like early the Raven does have some pressure, but then later on, turns into more of that wet noodle fight. Though on the flip side, Trelly, I think you could say the same thing about Osiris, but does feel like the style of matchup that won't have that much aggression outside of maybe junglers poking their heads over on that side of the map. Interested though, because both junglers have blink, so you might expect some pressure on these waves early on.
Yeah, it looks like Sarpeii is posturing towards the soul lane here. Cozyx doesn't have too much mana just because it takes so much to clear this wave, and it looks like they will try to go for it. Overhead kick would be enough to get him out, but it's down.
My goodness, I didn't expect that much burst damage. I'll take first blood, Aaru Scorpions. Blink in from Sarpeii. I don't know if that's a caster's curse or not. Blue buff at least secured by WorstTurttle. Could have been slightly worse for the Wargs, but the Aaru Scorpions do get first blood. So I said I don't imagine much fighting, and then kind of corrected myself and said outside of junglers rotating over. So I think it's a caster's curse into a non-caster's curse. But at any rate, that's what you want to see from an Erlang Shen early in the game. The Aaru Scorpions able to grab first blood.
Yeah, it seemed like Cozyx was using that overhead kick to clear the wave, which, you know, given the build path, if you have Sigil, if you're going for Soul Eater, you simply get out pressured by Osiris for quite some time, right? You just don't have the abilities to clear that wave. Even if you spam all 3 consistently, it's going to take like 3 rotations of abilities to actually clear that wave. And without your second ability, without any beads, Erlang Shen's got a lot of CC, so just a free gank into that lane. Now Panvich gets credit for the kill, hits level 5 first, and is going to be able to dominate. Has the teleport available, which Cozyx had to use to get here, so he's going to have to take it's going to be a while before you get that Soul Eater online.
Yep.
And this Osiris should be able to run that lane for quite some time now. You know, WorstTurttle can look at that lane, but it's like, you know, Lord of the Afterlife, get out. You're not really worried about that damage at the moment, so I don't think there's going to be any more presence from the Niflheim Wargs in that lane. I think it's pretty much over at that point. Once this mitigation Raven gets behind, it takes him quite some time to get online.
Unlucky for Cozyx that your lane feels ungankable in the first 3.5 minutes of the game because you've dropped first blood. Yeah, I get you'd love to be able to go back, finish up that Soul Eater, and then teleport into lane. Won't be the case. Sarpeii is back. Cozyx pinned, use the overhead kick this time, but a 9 turns blessing on the return gank. Lord of the Afterlife says bye-bye to Cozyx. And right, to be clear, I mean ungankable in the other way.
Yeah, of course, WorstTurtle has no chance.
WorstTurtle doesn't have much of a chance, but apparently Sarpeii does. And Cozyx dead yet again. I don't think... Yeah, Cozyx still does not have enough gold for that Soul Eater. It's just been a brutal start to the game for the right side of the map. Ollly's got to rotate out. Try to help out here over in solo lane. Blue buff gets stolen by the Aaru Scorpions. Tethers are out. Ollly's going to get stunned. Sarpeii breaks the ankles a bit. But WorstTurttle has the rotation path. Going through from Sarpeii. I don't know. You got to be careful here. These ultimates are coming back off of cooldown. Yeah, and the Niflheim Wargs are just going to have to watch their right side jungle get ravaged.
Yeah, I just have to laugh at that fact because WorstTurttle has still 0 kill potential. I mean, Colossal Fury, you're getting 2 auto attacks, and then the enemy's going to run away. You don't have anything. You know, Golden Blade's not giving you enough movement speed to be able to attack while you're moving. You got 2 autos. That's basically the extent of your gank potential. So, did get the blink out of Sarpeii. Did put a little bit of presence there because you're up 2-0. You don't want to give anything, you know, any edge to the opposition. So I understand just wanting to make sure to use that after the gank happened, get your blue buff, stay safe. I just don't see any opportunity for WorstTurttle to get active on this side of the map. You got to be looking elsewhere, towards that Olorun perhaps. You know, Pikarino in this mid lane is very close to that tower, so you're not able to dive. But maybe just trying to get a relic down, force out that sanctified field. I just think the right side of the map's a bit of a wash at the moment.
The question is, though, Trelly, is really what can Panvich do with this lead, right? I mean, the solo lane has stagnated to the point of, you know, farming, stealing blue buffs, things like that. You can put some pressure on the Greater Scorpion. I believe the Aaru Scorpions are able to secure that, in fact, unless maybe the Niflheim Wargs got the last hit. Looks like their next buffs are enhanced either way. But, you know, with the Primal Fury spawning, that's normally where you would say a lead on the right side. You're able to convert that into some map pressure. For now, it just feels like continued pressure on blue buffs, things like that, is where Panvich will feel a little bit more comfortable. Sarpeii keeps rotating over to this side of the map. And that's where you can funnel this lead, is just getting jungle support, things like that, up and rolling a bit faster. WorstTurttle, Cozyx, they're going to have to watch this blue buff spawn and maybe go down. A transformation out of Olllly, so Wargs considering fighting this, but WorstTurttle and Cozyx both hovering around half HP before the fight starts. Itori out of mid lane as well. Sarpeii being burned through, but the heal from the 9 turns blessing helps the Erlang Shen, and a Riptide from Predss ushers everyone away from WorstTurttle. In a sanctified field from mid, Vamana steps a bit too far forward, and the Aaru Scorpions bait in the Wargs and grab themselves their 3rd kill.
You know, I was super confident that WorstTurtle's ult there was not going to get too much value. I was hyping on it before, like maybe 2 autos, but was able to run down
it wasn't bad.
A fair bit of damage. Unfortunately for WorstTurtle, Pikarino's like, his ult's down. I can just put him in slow motion. We have the chain CC chased a little bit too far.
Right in the center too.
Yeah, I think I also would have been baited by that because I was surprised at his damage. Yeah. And I think he was surprised at his damage. He's like, guys, I might be able to kill. You know, this Yemoja's very weak. Predss did start breastplate and still was getting shredded through. Just a little bit too far. Pikarino didn't rotate to that blue buff. Was still in mid lane. It's like, okay, if you guys really need me, I'll drop the sanctified fields in. An easy return kill. Now 3-0 for the Scorpions. This isn't the gold lead you want to see.
No.
Given the fact that the solo's so far ahead, you can always play through Panvich. Pyromancer's going to spawn in about 2 minutes.
Yep.
I imagine a 10-minute Pyromancer could be on the table just because of how much presence this Osiris has. You have so much auto attack damage already with the Olorun, with the Erlang Shen, and the level 9 Osiris. So, you know, the Gold Fury's a bit of a toss-up. I don't think you ever want to really risk that, but Pyro could burn very easily, and Sarpeii's still on this side of the map.
Yeah, and the blue buff's not up right now. Sarpeii is spotted out by a ward. A smart ward by Cozyx. Gotta have that there with how much presence Sarpeii has shown on the right side of the map up to this point. It's given a 1-level lead over to Sarpeii as well. So the jungle not faring much better than the solo lane. 2 levels though for Panvich. But also now, Pikarino's been able to safely farm up it during the most susceptible time of the game for this Olorun. 1-level lead out of the laning phase so far for Olorun over Merlin. The only lead that the Wargs have is Spudio, 1-level lead over iDavy, over on the left side of the map. So, something maybe the Wargs can try to take advantage of, though with waves, things like that, iDavy may end up not being that far behind. Looks like stacking build for iDavy anyway. Transcendence on the Chiron is what you expect. Ikavale start for Spudio. So maybe iDavy is smart, Trelly, at this point in the game to not try to box out with this Jing and just farm up safely for the next few minutes.
Yeah, if you are going this ability-based build, trading into Ichival probably not the best idea, but it is a Jing way. Oh no, the ward. Just the Riptide to make sure they're able to confirm that ward there. But every time I see this build, I harp on it. I absolutely hate this Jingwei build every single time, man. It just makes you're so.
Charlie, I'm nervous you might be alone in that because they keep building.
That's what I'm saying. But every time it happens, they get behind. At the moment, hold that thought. WorstTurtle gets taunted in.
Uses Colossal Fury. This time gets in value. That'll be a big old disengage. 1 big baby and 1 sanctified field later, and it's just some mid lane camps being fought over. Yeah, I mean, we see Icavale, I guess, to smooth out the early game, and then eventually later on in the game gets sold off for dominance, something a bit different. But Jing Wei keeps going for it, Trelly. You might be on an island.
No, I certainly am, but every time I call it out, it's for good reason. You're just delaying crit, and that's why you pick Jing Wei. Sure, you're safe, you get far, but you're never getting this crit online. And it's not even the Ichabal. If you go Ichabal into Atalanta's bow into Wind Demon, there you go. That solves it for me.
That you have to go Aussie after? Is that what they normally do?
They do Exy, they do Aussie,
Aussie.
Sometimes they do Kins. They put off the crit, and I imagine if you're picking Jing Wei, you want big numbers. That's what you want, right?
Sure
and
do.
Sometimes, if you're going this shred build, you just get kind of put behind in lane. So right now, Spudio's playing it well. As you mentioned, had a bit of a lead. But now that this Transcendence and this Jotun's Wrath is online,
yeah, wow.
I'm thinking Davy's going to be able to output a lot more damage than what Spudio has. So you're not going to want to step up to that. We'll have to watch that lane and see if my suspicions are correct, or if I'm just, a grumpy old man just yelling at the whippersnappers down
Shaking
in the yard.
your fist at the clouds, kids on your lawn, whatever. Niflheim Wargs are on the Aaru Scorpions lawn right now. That'll be a kill onto Itori, and a 9 turns blessing brings WorstTurttle right back into the front of the fight, and Colossal Fury, where is it? 3/4 of the way back. And WorstTurttle now falls. This is methodical from the Aaru Scorpions. And remember what we were talking about, is Cozyx might get run down here, does have the root, does not have Mystic Rush. Remember what we were talking about during the replays for the Wargs, is that even in low-kill games, and for EU, this is actually a relatively high-paced game for the Aaru Scorpions, making plenty of plays happen on right. But even for low-kill games, the Scorpions, a team that have sometimes fallen behind, or the Wargs rather, teams that sometimes fall behind, just passively, through farm, through pressure, blue buffs being taken away. Now, Pyromancer, of course, as we foresaw, Panvich with the 2-level lead will help with the Pyromancer. Like, the game just kind of slowly bleeds away. It's exactly what's happening here to the Wargs, and they haven't had much to say about it yet.
Yeah, no, a lot of questions, no answers, and it looks like Olllly actually went for that Ward Chalice, foregoing what I can only assume is going to be that Witchblade to get some extra vision on the map. Maybe if you know what your enemy's doing, intelligence is half the battle. So if you know where they are, you can try and stop some of that presence. I just think it'd be a bit better if Olllly was tanky here, but hasn't been in any trouble, right? Fafnir so safe as is. You have such a long leap, and it doesn't seem like Ollly's the main target here on the Wargs, with 0-2, 0-2, 0-1, and then the duo lane just sitting fine. Ollly's actually trying to solo invade that red buff, given the fact that he feels pretty tanky. Davey is going to dash into here, so maybe Ollly's a little bit more in danger than I thought.
Well, unfortunately for Olllly, as a transforming into a sanctified field and a riptide and a stun, and we're going to spray angry dragon breath all over the place as we go down for the 6th time this game. Unfortunately for Olllly, it was just a moment ago about a 2-level lead for Predss. So Olllly has just kind of been all over the place, trying to help out with farm secure, things like that. But Predss has really been at the front of a lot of the initiation that the Aaru Scorpions have had. Of course, Sarpeii at 105, 100% kill participation. Panvich at 5 out of 6 kills participated in. So a lot of it's, of course, been over on right. But really, Predss has just been able to be more mobile, get a bit more involved. It really feels like the type of game, Trelly, where now the Wargs have to hope that their late game is simply just better than the Aaru Scorpions, and that they're able to delay it to that point, because the Scorpions have played the individual fights very well.
Yeah, I think it's about time the Scorpions stop looking at this blue buff and start looking at the left side of the map, because we've been talking about it a fair bit. Spudio is still level 14, 0-0. Level 15 now, so having a decent game. Cozyx, unfortunately, will fall here shortly, but Sarpeii takes a little bit of damage. Maybe if Cozyx lived a little bit longer, could have found an opportunity to find a kill there. Either way, I think the left side of the map should be getting looked at here just to try and push that lead. There's no way WorstTurttle finds a kill, so I'm just going to not even touch on that fact. The Gold Fury, I think, should be on the cards here. Not much steal potential from a Jing Wei with the build optimization. However, Spudio is building 3rd item Wind Demon, so I'm happy about that. Getting the crit,
yep.
Not going for another bow there. There's not a silver branch, so I'm happy with this. I give it my stamp of approval.
And Spudio's going to need it with no Spectrals yet. And Panvich going Glad Shield Sovereignty into Bulwark. I mean, that's just such a tanky Osiris, and the shielding later on in the team fight's just going to be obnoxious to burn through. Gonna need a lot of help now if you're the Niflheim Wargs with the itemization that the Scorpions have gone for. And I talked a lot yesterday with Gore about the Chronos Pendant support style builds. You get it second here if you're Predss. I like the mindset. You get more abilities out, you get more River's Rebukes, and you might get first blood here if you're the Wargs. You gotta get a kill here. Colossal Fury walks through the River's Rebuke, and Cozyx rotates out of solo. Pikarino nearly gets away, and despite Predss' best efforts, Niflheim Wargs will end up grabbing first blood under the Scorpions mid laner.
Yeah, Pikarino not fast enough. Yeah, their first blood. There's 7 kills on the opposition, but I think the Wargs are definitely pretty happy about that one, and it's a good kill to grab. I mean, you would love to shut down Panvich with a 3-0 shutdown, but a 2-0 shutdown onto Pikarino is also going to be pretty beneficial for the squad, and Cozyx definitely needed it, right? Still 2 levels behind in this lane, as a blue buff is being looked at, and will be confirmed, actually, so Cozyx gets that one. Probably happy about that. So a good member of the team to have that kill. Just trying to get back into this lane. If you can get a little bit tankier, maybe your fight opportunities open up a wee bit. And Cozyx would love to just be able to dive to the backline and not worry about getting turned on by these carries. It's pretty much the one benefit of this Ravana build is that you're pretty carefree in your dive. You need an extra goal to do that, so probably pretty good that he got that kill.
Yeah, we'll take it. I mean, if you're behind, getting anything going is always going to be worthwhile. Gold Fury still stands here on left, but for how much longer? As the Aaru Scorpions are going to send one of their big leads over to left, and it's the 2-level lead for Sarpeii. Olllly close by. No chance a Fafnir hammer steals a Gold Fury, right? We haven't seen that recently. Gold Fury confirmed by the Scorpions, and the Sanctified Field helped out, but that's a big team fight ultimate that's now gone, and the Scorpions agree, so they will back away, and the big objective on left further expands this gold lead out just shy of 6K.
Yeah, and Sarpeii used the 9 turns blessing as well as WorstTurttle gets caught in the back line, but has the Colossal Fury, so you can just walk through that river.
That's an angry baby.
Yep, an angry baby that can walk through walls, and he does not care.
That is terrifying.
That is terrifying.
An angry baby that... There's got to be a horror movie somewhere out there. What angry baby, like, horror movies are there in the world? Like, well, Chucky, I guess, right?
My mind went to Chucky, but I guess he's more
like
of a
doll.
Kid. Yeah, he's not quite the baby.
Right, a bit old. He's like a toddler.
What about The Boy? He's not a baby either, he's just a doll.
Is that a movie, The Boy?
It's called The Boy, and it's like there's this doll, and she has to babysit the doll, and the parents are like, yeah, he's a real boy, you have to babysit him. It's spooky.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Billy's helping us out here as often. Demon Child 666 is a movie from 2004. I was going to say equally terrifying. Yeah, that Jack from The Incredibles, says Lewis. Another one of our production guys. Jack. Honestly, Jack is scary at points. But Jack is scarier than WorstTurttle is at this point in the game. 2 levels down from his opposition. I mean, decent items: Golden Blade, Stone Cutting, Toxic Blade. It's gonna be fast, right? But needs some help, I think, on the front line of these fights to not get shredded down.
Yeah, I imagine if WorstTurttle and Pikarino were boxing each other, just stood there auto-attacking, WorstTurtle would win. If you had the Sanctified Fields and some juking, that's gonna be a problem. Anyone with anti-heal, I think, is not gonna be too afraid of WorstTurtle's damage at the moment. It looks like Pyromancer has spawned back in, and Olllly spots this out and is like, are you going to go for it? Because I'm watching you. And Sarpeii decided not to try and 50-50 with the Fafnir. There's not too much confirmed that Erlang Shen has with a Fafnir that can just disarm you. And Spudio actually makes the rotation over, so possibly the Wargs looking to get aggressive on this Pyromancer. Davies on the left side of the map, they are going to go for this.
Yeah, the Wargs got to be careful here, though. Yeah, you can get the Pyro, and Lord of the Afterlife doesn't steal it away. Actually, kind of a risky call from the Wargs. I suppose you know that Davies on left, but if you lose a fight over here, that's just Fire Giant to the Scorpions and immense damage into Itori. Centaurus Aegis out, and some shielding from the shell keeps the Merlin on the map. Aaru Scorpions still going to slow play. Won't end up doubling back for the Fire Giant, but might end up putting pressure on Tier 1.
Yeah, and looks like they will be able to get that Tier 1. I don't think there's too much damage here to say otherwise, but WorstTurtle and Cozyx were debating on the wraparound, and they thought against it because it's still, you're still behind. If you look at the gold lead, still 5K behind just because I guess the element of surprise could add like 1,000 gold theoretically at this point.
For who?
Well, I'm saying like the Wargs coming from behind, that makes the gold lead a little bit closer, right? The element of surprise gives you
it's like
theoretical 1,000 gold.
Like 1,000 gold initiation.
Right,
sure.
and if it's level 20 v20, you might get an even engage at that point, but you're still behind, so I don't think the right call to try and go for that, and they decide to give that tower up. Now, you got the Pyro, trade that for the tower. Feeling pretty good, and it looks like Spudio is going to go back to left lane and try and hit level 20. That Jing, I'm still holding on for hope that the Jing is going to be the answer the Wargs need. Still has that damage online with a Silver Branch finish next. Could supply a fair bit.
Panvich has so much gold. My goodness. Where's the Robin? 1.5k gold behind, so it's not devastating. Could be devastating for WorstTurttle, though, as 9 turns Blessing does not get the taunt. It's a long ultimate, Colossal Fury. WorstTurttle will survive, healing if nothing else for Sarpeii. And now the Aaru Scorpions double back. No Pyromancer, as it was secured just a couple moments ago. And with no kills on the board, you're not going for the Fire Giant at this point. Aaru Scorpions really wishing they had gotten a kill there. Makes life a lot easier when you don't have to wonder, do we throw around the FG, things like that. I mean, you're so far ahead. Only Spudio is kind of sandwiching the rest of the Aaru Scorpions as far as net worth goes, but not far enough ahead, I don't think, to just force an FG just yet.
Yeah, that'd be a very uncharacteristic FG pull for this side of the pond, right? Like maybe the NA teams would go for that and 50-50 it, and it goes well, it goes bad, but usually when I look at the USCTC teams, they're not pulling that Fire Giant until 30+ minutes when they have a 10k gold lead and it's still a toss-up. They still aren't ready to go for that confirmation. And it's just a different style of play, so I don't think that one's coming through. However, the Oni Fury is spawning in about 3 seconds, and that could be an opportunity for the Aaru Scorpions to try and push this lead, try and open up the map a little bit with those Oni minions, and then maybe the Fire Giant could be looked at. It's just, you want to pick beforehand, and WorstTurtle's ultimate is about to be off cooldown, so maybe feeling a little bit confident trying to pull this, but the Scorpions are more so looking for a pick. They're sort of posturing around Sarpeii, saying, get a big taunt in, we get a kill, then we go for the Fury.
Yeah, we can't forget the experience lead and support as well. 15 for Predss, 12 for Olllly. And so the pace of this game has clearly favored the Yemoja, and pretty unique build for Predss. Kind of individual items from metas of past. I mean, Breastplate of Valor in the unique way to start. Into the Chronos Pendant, which is sort of a new age, awesome Jake style of build. Into a Lotus Crown, which was all the rage in the Sylvanas Lotus Crown Aphrodite style meta. Predss leaning on a bit of everything here. As the Oni Fury is going to get pulled by the Aaru Scorpions. Panvich takes a bit of poke damage. But it looks like the Scorpion's still going to slow play the objective.
Yeah, the full CDR build on the Yemoja is just for River's Rebuke. I mean, you literally, you get no benefit from cooldown on any of her other abilities. So this is just Predss saying, we're fighting around my ult. Like, Pikarino has 0 cooldown build, so hold that thought. WorstTurtle, I think, is going to get shredded through here. 0 healing, and that's going to be gone.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage onto WorstTurtle. And this is the pick that the Scorpions were hoping for. I think you just run back to the Oni Fury at this point. And WorstTurtle is maybe the most threatening on the map, though Itori has gotten some good items underway, so is Spudio, but at 0-3, WorstTurtle will not be threatening anymore, because he's no longer on the map. And a simple Oni Fury over to the Aaru Scorpions. And wouldn't you guess it, Pyromancer's about to spawn as well. Seems like a simple rotation path for the Scorpions.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe the Wargs would try and go for something on the right side of the map, but they did one of those half defenses where you don't actually defend, you just want to watch the Oni Fury go down, make sure you saw it, and then just run away. And now even more time for the Scorpions to try and push this lead. I doubt they even wait. Yeah, pull the Fire Giant at this point, man. Cozyx and Olllly are close by. But that Fire Giant's already half HP, and Panvich is playing zone duty. I think it's going to go down for absolute free.
And it is. And the Aaru Scorpions get the big one in 23 minutes. A quickly paced EU SEC game here. As honestly a masterclass of converting a lead on the right side of the map into a lead elsewhere, where really Sarpeii is able to funnel that gold into Pyro, into the rest of the team. This is maybe the best Spudio can do here. Knock down a couple of towers over on the left side of the map, mitigate the gold spike as best as you can, get your team some gold. A few thousand, or a couple thousand rather, for a few members of the Wargs. It's these next couple of minutes where this gold could just totally get out of control. Tier 1 on right is about to go down to Oni minions. And then 3 Tier 2 towers for the Aaru Scorpions to siege.
Yeah, I think that gold is going to balloon up after the fact. However, the Wargs do have a trebuchet. And I'm looking at this as the one bastion of defense they should be able to hold on to. Once that left side Phoenix starts to get siege, maybe you send that one out. Give you some extra help, some support, if you will, on that side of the map. But the Scorpions are going to play away from that at the moment. They're going for that right Tier 2. They've got the Tier 2 in mid. and Davy's on the left side of the map. So they're all kind of split. They're not going for that full 5v5 push with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left on the FG. You know, it's a wonder what they want to go for. Are you going for every single tower, then you back up and you go for the enhanced? Do you still want to try and break the base at this point? The gold lead isn't so outrageous that you're going to step into a Phoenix this early on. So I imagine the Scorpions are going to play this one slow and safe. Probably just go for that tier 2 and left, back up, tier 2 and mid, and then maybe if they get a pick, maybe if they're feeling confident, can look to try and break the base after the fact.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if there's much the Aaru Scorpions can do wrong at this point outside of standing under a Phoenix, not doing anything for a couple of minutes. Looks like a bit of a split push here. You're going to send the Trebuchet down mid. And the rest of the Aaru Scorpions going to group up over here on the left side of the map. Would love to knock down this Phoenix, even if you don't end the game. That sets up, of course, for the next Fire Giant. That's where the Wargs will put, or the Scorpions rather, will put their opening bit of pressure. 2 versus 1 potentially in mid as Sarpeii and Panvich have split. And you get all this range damage pouring into the tier 2 tower on left, and I think smartly the Wargs will just watch it go down and back away towards the Phoenix. Good Riptide, good stun. But Olllly will limp away as the Trebuchet will make its way mid.
Yeah, it looks like the Scorpions have those as well, and the Wargs have not sent the one in left. Sarpeii recognizes that WorstTurttle is trying to flank and is trying to just push away the opposition. I don't think they're going to step in just yet as WorstTurttle takes a ton of damage. They're waiting for a go button here. Predss is going to tank up a bit of the Phoenix. They're not quite stepping in because Davy takes a fair bit of damage from Spudio.
And Davy will be able to sustain it back up. Thanks to Predss, mid lane Phoenix is gone. How about that sanctified field? Sends Spudio and Itori back. Sarpeii easily winning this fight against WorstTurttle despite the sustain from the Colossal Fury. WorstTurttle falls, so does mid Phoenix, so does Olllly. It's Sarpeii in the backline, the Erlang Shen making it happen here in game number 1. Gotta be a trade back, but it's not. And now the Aaru Scorpions playing with some momentum get 2 Phoenixes.
And the Trebuchet is attacking the Titan with 2 Phoenixes down. It looks like the play is to back up here, even with 2 picks. You used a lot to get it. Make sure you grab that tier 2 and right. It will also help weaken this Titan for the siege after the fact. So you got fire for 26 more seconds. I don't imagine you want to go for the end. A little bit of a risky call here. Still a fair bit of damage coming the way of Spudio, but that right side Phoenix will be looked at here. Only 15 seconds left on the buff. It's going to be hard for the Wargs to try and hold this one 3v5.
In go. Out go. The Aaru Scorpions thought they might initiate, but no, you're going to lose your Fire Giant buff just about now. And then you got a minute left, and so a hefty amount of gold in hand for the Aaru Scorpions. 2 Phoenixes down. The stage relatively set here. Wondering if you're in Miracle Steel territory. It's the decision-making tree of, are we more likely to steal a Fire Giant and delay the game, or do we have a better chance of fighting underneath our Titan? And that's what the Niflheim Wargs are going to have to decide here in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's just the regular Fire Giant. It's not enhanced just yet, so I imagine the Wargs just want to let that one go. You still have some decent opportunity to defend underneath your Titan. You know, like there isn't so much damage that, you know, the Scorpions can just walk in and end, but WorstTurttle, I think you're just dead, man. I don't think any amount of healing is going to keep you out of this one.
Not like this.
You will be able to run away for a bit, but Sarpeii's on the flank. No time to blink. Yeah, I think you're gone.
Yeah. God, this just hurts. Oh my goodness. Hello and goodbye. That is some shred that Sarpeii's got out of the jungle. And now, I think the question is answered. I don't think the Niflheim Wargs have any chance, again, at fighting around this Fire Giant. Maybe a steal, but the Wargs will end up backing away. Little mistakes like that, you know, compounded over a game is how you get into a situation like this. So, you know, it's not that the Wargs are a bad team. It's just you look at a mistake early by Cozyx, and then a couple overextensions from WorstTurttle. 0-5 out of the jungle. Those types of things just add up. And that's what's given the Aaru Scorpions a 99.99% chance at a win here in game number 1. You're going to be fighting without your jungler for 15 seconds. Should be pretty simple right side Phoenix. Spudio just doing his best to clear out some of these waves. I don't think the Wargs feel like they've got much of a chance under the Phoenix.
Yeah, Spudio wants to clear that out as quickly as possible while Sarpeii is able to wrap around here. I imagine that bird falls down fairly quickly given the fact that the Wargs aren't even trying to defend it. They're staying in the base. They're going to defend the Titan at all costs, but I don't think keeping these birds alive is an opportunity they have. I mean, they're down so much gold. You still have Spudio who hasn't died yet, so maybe the option is kill the Jing Wei, then end, and if you can't, there's no way that that's going to happen. However, Cozyx did finish the Lonos Mask, so that could be the bastion of hope they need. Blink in.
Oh, that was a great 9 turns blessing if it connected. And Spudio deletes Sarpeii. Now the Aaru Scorpions on the retreat. Niflheim Wargs, maybe some blood in the water here. A 45-second death timer on Sarpeii. Only the second kill of the game for the Wargs. And you've got to chase this down. You've got to realize this is your chance to turn the game around. Pikarino sends out the Sanctified Field. Maybe for the next 30 seconds, we'll take a deep breath.
Yeah, Sarpeii just got 2-shot. I mean, this is why you build that crit on Jing Wei. I will say there's no spectral armor built for Sarpeii, so maybe if that was an option, wouldn't have gotten deleted so quickly. Feeling a little confident in this build, just full attacks. If you went the X, you went the Kids. I imagine Sarpeii might want to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, if I'm going to blink into a Jing Wei like that, might need some physical defense. But the Aaru Scorpions have not full retreated. They are still standing tall, trying to look at this mid. Phoenix finally will back up here. So the Wargs, a temporary sigh of relief. Sarpeii blinks in, gets deleted, and now 2 more birds will spawn in. The right side Phoenix is still down, so, and you have some fire minions to clear. But a solid defense by the Warriors, right? I mean, they have some time to go back, spend some gold. They get the Primal Fury as well. They can add to this, and Venom Deathbringer finish for Spudio, so a couple power spikes still to be had. Now the Wargs just get to play waiting game again. They have a minute 35 for the Scorpions to try and siege a better defense, and I gotta be honest, Dave, even though Sarpeii got absolutely deleted there, if he just lets Panvich go in first and then follows up after the fact, yeah. I don't imagine the Wargs can do that a second time.
That's more of a delay than anything else. That doesn't change much about this game other than Sarpeii now doesn't have the Fire Giant buff. But as long as the Aaru Scorpions funnel their pressure into the right areas here, still looking at a 99.98, maybe an 8.8 now, 0.98. In all likelihood, the Scorpions make quick work of these Phoenixes, unless the Scorpions make a mistake. They haven't made many so far this phase. Pikarino engaged upon, but the Sanctified Field is good. WorstTurttle used Colossal Fury, but he's burned through. Might be the 6th death of the game for the Vamana, but no, WorstTurtle's gonna get out alive. River's Rebuke up, that catches out Cozyx. Gotta be a kill here for the Aaru Scorpions, but again, one of their targets is escaping. Sarpeii adds this one. Itori being run down by Panvich. Olllly run down by Sarpeii, and one by one, the Niflheim Wargs will be taken down, but kill answered back by Spudio. A 4 versus 3 under the mid lane Phoenix. Spudio gets whittled away, and it seems like the Aaru Scorpions just have enough sustain.
Yeah, Spudio has a ton of damage here. It looks like iDavy will go down, so all eyes have to be on the Jing Wei. Itori's going in, doesn't have the damage to finish out Panvich, but might as he blinks in.
My goodness, they're not going to end this game. Wow, all 3 Phoenixes are down, but Aaru Scorpions are going to delay us out one more. Sarpeii dead for 30 seconds, iDavy dead for 43 seconds. Say what you will, Wargs heavily far behind in this game. They have just not made life easy. We finally reached late game, you point out, for the Jing Wei, 3-0 for Spudio. And the individual kills have been enough to keep the Aaru Scorpions away.
Yeah, I've got a theory. Just a spectral armor on Sarpeii, and that could be the end of this game. However, Elixir of Power is going to be the option, so still not putting the respect on Spudio's Jing Wei. You need one member of your team to be on ADC duty. You know, whether it's Panvich, whether it's Sarpeii, Predss can't really do it. You're not going to get that close to a Jing Wei. The Riptides are just going to be able to be dashed through. So one of these warriors needs to be on top of Spudio. Simple as that. After that, I think the fight sort of falls through, but 2 Phoenixes were up, and now 2 Phoenixes are down. The right side Phoenix, however, did spawn back in, so it will be the enhanced Fire Giant attempt by the Aaru Scorpions. The Wargs, they're postured to try and defend this, all in the jungle. They're watching this one as WorstTurttle is playing defender, running back and forth between left and mid, and the enhanced Fire Giant will be started up.
Enhanced Fire Giant would tilt the scales even further to the Aaru Scorpions. No answer from the Niflheim Wargs. Itori in an awkward spot here in this fight. The Merlin over the Fire Giant wall. Cozyx Mystic Rush onto the back line. Good pin from Sarpeii. The health bar is not full enough for the Aaru Scorpions to feel confident. Panvich being worked down by Spudio. And a River's Rebuke defensively as Spudio goes up and over. So does Olllly as the Phantom Shell burns away. The Aaru Scorpions get Enhanced Fire Giant. Fire Minions will make their way into the Niflheim Wargs base. And at 35 minutes, a full 5 Enhanced Fire Giant Scorpions can siege the Wargs Titan.
Yeah, the Wargs definitely wanted to pick there, but no, I mean, you wasted so many ults trying to chase that one down. I will say the Scorpions used a bunch of ults to get away as well. You really are just holding on to Sarpeii's 9 turns blessing at the moment, so. Given the situation, I feel like the Scorpions should have ended, what, like 15 minutes ago. But the Wargs have been sieging, defending the siege extremely well. They have a fair bit of defense, and they've been balancing the aggression of the Aaru Scorpions quite well. So if the Wargs could have just gotten to this point in the game even, I think this could be a completely different situation. It's just very difficult to come back from this because the Fire Minions are always going to be a pressing issue. Whenever one of your Phoenixes spawns in, the other 2 go down. And now it's an Enhanced Fire Giant. The Aaru Scorpions, once again, have an opportunity to try and go for the end. I haven't seen the builds pivot too much. We see Panvich go for the Nemean, which is going to put a little bit more respect on the Spudio, but the characters that were getting one-shot are still getting one-shot. Panvich is the only one who can deal with Jing, has the horrific blink, so there's a chance if Panvich just blinks on a Spudio and just plays like the damage sponge, this siege goes their way and the Aaru Scorpions close this one out.
And Niflheim Wargs, again, have just been pestering the Aaru Scorpions. Scorpions would have loved this game to end on the second Fire Giant, but the Wargs have just not given things up quietly. Sarpeii is going to take down the left side Phoenix that literally just respawned. So reset that cooldown. Panvich in a position to do the same over in mid. And the Aaru Scorpions, they are getting things done. Don't get me wrong, just because there's no fighting doesn't mean nothing's happening. Left side Phoenix reset its cooldown. Mid lane Phoenix might do the same. Panvich takes a couple crits though from Spudio. Centaurus gets used. Doesn't find much of anything. Cozyx knocked to the side. We've officially reached late game on this Robin. So early game mattering much less. Mid lane Phoenix now also gone. Seems like it's time to team fight. Panvich agrees. Looking for damage, but so is Sarpeii towards the Titan. Fire Minions are in. So you got a 4 versus 4 over on the right side of the map. Predss throws up River's Rebuke in the sanctified field. WorstTurttle has to leave the fight on the back line, and that means Itori's gonna have to pull back to the Titan as well. So you got a 4 versus 3 over here on the right side of the map. And Sarpeii doing all right in the 2 versus 1, grabs 1 kill. WorstTurttle answers back. Tell me, are the Aaru Scorpions gonna have to leave again? Yeah, they get all 3 Phoenixes. Looks like unhappy with their odds. We'll hope that these Fire Minions can get some stuff done.
You wait for Davy's ult, Panvich goes in, you end the game. That's the play, but it looks like Spudio is going to dash in here, get some lucky crits, and WorstTurtle goes to the back line.
WorstTurtle looking for damage, doesn't quite have it. Davy gets taken low, so does Spudio. Pikarino stunned. Spudio grabs the kill. Panvich going to get the stun onto 1, but Spudio going big. Spudio's got a triple kill.
The minions!
But the minions in the back line get it done. Look, the Aaru Scorpions, they're so far ahead of this game. They needed every ounce of help they could get come Phoenix Siege time. Spudio goes massive by the end of that game. I think it ends at 6-0, something like that.
It was 6-0.
Warg's not happy, of course, with the result of that game. That's got to be a bit frustrating though for the Aaru Scorpions. The length that it takes 3 full Fire Giants, and even then it takes all the minions getting. A win's a win. But that is not as convincing as maybe the gold lead would have lent.
Yeah, I would say you're not ecstatic if you're the Scorpions, and if you're Spudio, you're not that happy either because 6-0 on this Stringway was doing insane amounts of damage, was sort of saying like, guys, don't worry, I'll help defend, I'll be over here, I'll be over here. But that's what I was talking about. When 2 birds are down, it's just so hard to come back from. Someone has to constantly be watching those Phoenixes, and Sarpeii was able to pick apart the team, saying, you know what, if we can't kill Spudio, I'll just kill your Titan instead. It's the same sort of situation. There's an unkillable Raven, we'll just kill the Titan. The Titan is going to die a little bit easier.
And so the Aaru Scorpions able to convert some of that early game pressure. Remember, Panvich gets far and away ahead of this game. The Erlang Shen starts swinging early. Unfortunately for WorstTurtle, the Vamana never quite hit its stride here in this game. Starts off 0-4, 0-5, something like that, and by the late game, the pressure rolling against it just felt like a bit too much. And so I think there are moments of good for the Wargs to look forward to moving forward after a game like this. You fall so far behind early, but I guess your Phoenix defense looks okay, and then that's one decent thing that you can look at. Though, Trelly, I think if you're the Aaru Scorpions, you got to realize that even if it takes a bit longer, you are in control of this game. So while frustrating in the way it ended, still a win and still gives you the 1-0 lead here in this set. Niflheim Wargs got some early game to clean up in game number 2 coming up next.
But he had the horsey, and horsey, don't you stop! Fido kicks! Fido kicks!
I gave up dabbing for Lynn.
Cool. No more dabbing for Final. He looked at me and said, I'm going to be on that stage next year. I'm going to become a world champion.
Ripping through! Titan down, ball 3! A double goal myself!
Scorpions able to get it done. The Fire Minions able to get it done in game number 1. The Wargs, I think, still ride with a bit of momentum after the way that game 1 ends here. Still lose, but still show that later on in the game they can scale, they can team fight, they can find picks, they give themselves a chance, however low that chance may have been. The Aaru Scorpions able to cleanly play the rest of the game, though, Trilly. I mean, always difficult to siege against a team like what the Wargs have. And so I don't want to harsh on the Scorpions. I mean, this is a 99% clean game from the Scorpions. Gets a bit difficult around the Phoenix Siege, but still put themselves in a position to win.
Yeah, for me, it was the classic case of just overconfidence, right? The Scorpions had such a lead going in. Sarpeii blinks in to try and get like a 5-man taunt just to end the game. Gets like 3-shot crit by Spudio, and they say, all right, now we got to treat this a little bit harder, go back for EFG. Once again, Spudio goes massive on the defense, got to back up again. Just one of those cases of like we were so far ahead we didn't put that much respect into things like Spectral Armor, despite the fact, I mean, just to keep your eyes on the gold lead as this game goes on. There was a couple stumbles, but you're right to highlight the Aaru Scorpions off the back of Sarpeii, getting Panvich so far ahead in this lane. We're just able to run away with this one.
They were. And look, I think it's another example of teams having an idea of how to deal with this Raven. It's put pressure on that side of the map early, get the Raven behind, delay how long it takes to get the damage mitigation build online, steal away blue buffs, and then later in the game, hopefully you're strong enough to shred through the health bar. If not, you just try to ignore it. And Sarpeii had a really clean and consistent game this game, winning 1v1s against WorstTurttle. Erlang Shen really hit its mark. I think there's some humor in the fact that Sarpeii is playing this like British military skin and WorstTurttle is playing the oh my god, what's that dude's name? Like the Napoleon skin. So a bit of a United Kingdom military style battle, a European ancient military style battle going on there. Unfortunately, WorstTurttle on the wrong side of it. Okay, I was way wrong. Brazilian skin. Which one? WorstTurtles? I guess Brazilian? All right.
Yeah, WorstTurtles is.
All right, so forget the area of the world. It's still a military battle, and still WorstTurttle got the worst end of it, 1-6 here in game number 1 on Vamana. Skin or not, need a little bit of help there, and 34,000 damage from Sarpeii. Really good look for an Erlang Shen. Spudio puts up 31,000, Trelly. But really, you gotta look at the Erlang Shen and just simply how much damage there was to be done out of that mid lane. And nobody else had to do much. I mean, Pikarino does like 11,000 damage on Olorun in that game. It was an ult bot, it felt like at times. And so I think look no further if you're the Niflheim Wargs as far as what do we change. Try to limit what Sarpeii is able to get done in game 2.
Yeah, that would definitely be the idea. I think just it seemed like the Wargs drafted a lot for that late game where, you know, you're praying that Spudio gets online on the Jing way, and he did. You're praying that your Merlin doesn't get too far behind. You know, the Raven also doesn't come online till late. So given that situation, the Vamana should have been able to bridge that gap. I think comes online quite early, but then falls off once the Ankh comes through. But WorstTurttle just getting off to, you know, the worst start you really can. And
nice.
Unfortunately, I tried to really stretch that one out. And also, you know, you would love Cozyx to also get online as well. But when you put them both behind, the rest of the team just fell flat. Of course, Spudio never died that game, so maybe the Jing way could be something that you're looking at to take away. But given the fact that the Aaru Scorpions had such a massive gold lead, you could probably look to play through solo lane again. Just force the Wargs onto something that doesn't come online early.
Trelly, I mean, WorstTurttle, worst start into Jing way, take away. I mean, you are just on it right now as we go into picks and bans for game number 2. Yeah, I mean, Jing way and Merlin, again, it's about as standard as it gets when you look at your carries. Itori had decent damage numbers. Wasn't all that explosive, though, by the end of the game. And really crit Jing way when the auto attack crit build finally came online later on. Saw some defense, saw some pushback from the Wargs, but a little too little, little too late. Bans looking very similar here. The Yu Huang, the Chernobog both banned out. Khepri followed up by the Ullr. And so we're still in a meta, Trelly, where Chernobog is at the top of the table. Ullr with all that flex potential stands near the top as well. But plenty of really good ADCs after the fact. The Jing Weis, the Heimdalls, the Roms. Chiron, I suppose, still had a pretty good game there in game number 1. And then the junglers will follow as well. And so Kali, regardless of player, still stands towards the top of ban rate here in the USCC.
Yeah, and it seems like this is the adaptation that the Wargs are going to make. They're going to grab that Osiris for themselves. I was thinking, you know, as long as Cozyx is on something that needs to get to level 20 to come online, maybe the fighter after the fact, the early game engage around that blue buff goes a bit better, and that Olllly doesn't balloon up as much as it did. So it looks like the Wargs are thinking the same thing. And the Aaru Scorpions said, hey, Robin's not bad early, you just didn't play it that well, and or we did something to facilitate it. So now they're going to grab that Robin for themselves. The Aaru Scorpions are fine with switching this one up. They had to know this possibility was here. Maybe they wanted to force Cozyx onto the Robin once again, but either way, they got that Yemoja once again.
Yeah, and a similar mindset, though, you know, with jump in, damage mitigation. It's just that the Osiris got off to a better start, was facilitated a bit better. So the Aaru Scorpions, yes, different solo laner. Yes, different solo laner for the Wargs. But it could be a very similar mindset. If they go Jingwei Merlin here, then all we've changed up is who our solo lane pick is. Jingwei, I think it's smart to get that back for Spudio. Again, what you're buying yourself is an insurance policy. Even if this game goes late, you know that Spudio on the Jingwei will hit its mark, give you a chance to win the game. And another big pivot, it's the Erlang Shen, not for Sarpeii this game. Instead, the Wargs will pick it away. WorstTurttle going to get a look at that pick. I think smart as far as they pick, and a pseudo ban away from Sarpeii after a great game one.
Something in my brain wanted me just to see a Vamana locked in on the opposition.
Yeah,
like they're just trading picks entirely, saying
yep.
I'll show you how to play the Vamana jungle. I do think that it just outright loses to the Erlang Shen late game, so probably not the best idea to grab that one. And as long as you're not up against something like the Olorun where you're trying to counter that out, that immobility, I don't think that one will be going through. However, the Heimdall is going to be banned away. Not the Chiron just yet, so there could be a chance for the full run back for the Scorpions if the Wargs don't put some respect onto that pick. Maybe they're not worried about the physical damage dealer. Obviously, Spudio didn't mind it too much in lane. There wasn't too much targeted aggression coming from Davy. And it looks like the Rom is going to be banned away, that late game hard carry, someone that can match the crits of Jingwei. That seems to be on the brain right now for the Wargs. So we could still see that Chiron run back. I don't think it's going to open up too much. And doesn't reveal too much. The Aaru Scorpions have a comp and they're sticking to it.
The question is now, though, Trelly, so if the majority of our composition and our mindset is the same, again, everything outside of the Robin instead of the Osiris remains the same here for the Aaru Scorpions, and you cannot pick the Erlang Shen, who do you grab for jungle presence if you want to get some early pressure on the map, see if you can get some blue buffs taken away from this Osiris? That'll end up being the question that we get answered. Persephone now locked in. A good look for the mid lane. You're almost guaranteed some good damage as long as you're spamming your abilities. Then a Fafnir to end the draft. So really similar individual picks for some of the Wargs here. You get the Jingwei back. You get the Fafnir back. You sort of trade out the Osiris. You trade out the Erlang Shen. And so I think the Wargs have made some pivots, and I do like what they're bringing here.
Yeah, and the Aaru Scorpions are going to finish that one off with the Gilgamesh. That was, you know, you asked me what early game pick can you go to at this point with the Erlang Shen taken away. This is what my mind immediately went to. The Gilgamesh is going to have a good time. Osiris, Erlang Shen, and Gilgamesh are the warriors that are running the early part of the jungle, and the Aaru Scorpions got something they wanted.
And game number 2 between the Aaru Scorpions and the Niflheim Wargs about to kick off. Can the Wargs bounce themselves back here in game 2? Will we push us on to a game number 3? Remember, the Wargs not a team immune to these 3-game sets. The Wargs talented enough to get us there, but just haven't been able to convert those game 3s into wins just yet. So Billy gave us a nice background on the Vamana skin. 19th and 20th century, like military-style skin from northeast Brazil, known for its aridness and hard way of life, and in a form of social banditry against the government. They were nomadic bandits. So that's what that skin was, a nomadic Brazilian bandit. That's pretty neat.
When I first saw it, I always assumed it was a pirate. So that same sort of vibes, right? You know, pirates were just, you know, they tried to steal away, I guess, gold and things of that nature, whiskey, stuff like that on the 7 Seas. So this is more so the social banditry, stealing away food and money. So Billy, thank you for the education, and we're smarter for it.
That's like well, hold that thought. This Cozyx.
This looks familiar.
Somebody's gonna get first blooded again. Now we just need they have blink. Yes, Sarpeii's got it in 3 seconds. If need be. Blink, auto, kick, whatever. You got it. First blood to the Aaru Scorpions. Run it back. Cozyx falls for first blood, and the Aaru Scorpions and their jungler are able to get things going. Unfortunately for WorstTurttle, no pressure to be found over on the left side of the map. And the Scorpions cleanly snagged themselves an early kill.
Yeah, WorstTurttle definitely would have liked to grab some opposite lane aggression. So Cozyx, this exact thing happened last game, where it was a gank on a Cozyx into a blue buff invade, and then at that point, your jungle presence is all but gone, right? There's no more opportunity for you to find the blue buff. You got to look elsewhere. They kept trying to fight for the blue buff, but then Predss rotated in. It just seemed like it was a lost cause. So WorstTurttle realizes that Cozyx is in some trouble. Instead of helping out, says, hey, don't worry, I'll go for a gank on the left. However, Predss and iDavy just playing a little bit too safe there. Whether they were aware of the gank or not, are not going to give themselves susceptible to that early presence. So now WorstTurttle has to go back to right, try and help out. The one bright side is that Sarpeii is not looking for this blue buff and is more so focused on the mid lane at the moment. So WorstTurttle should be able to grab that one for the solo lane and not put Cozyx even more behind at this point.
Yeah, look, if you're the Wargs, the change to make is not allowing now this repeat pressure from Sarpeii and Panvich onto Cozyx, and whether that's WorstTurttle rotating over, helping out a bit with the blue buffs. You just can't allow a run back of game one at this point. If you're the Niflheim Wargs, you gotta allow Cozyx to farm up in this lane. Actually, a one-level lead over Panvich. I guess some farm has been split by Panvich and Sarpeii that have maybe made the difference, where Cozyx has just solo cleared some of these waves. So gold may be there for Panvich, but experience, at least at the moment, okay for Cozyx. And a nice start to that lane. Beads for Panvich, so that is a difference. If Cozyx is able to get some pressure, force Panvich back, won't have the teleport to get back to lane. So those are some of the ebbs and flows over in solo.
Yeah, definitely a smart pickup because you're up against Sarpeii. You just saw what happened to Cozyx last game on this Robin. So now you've got Mystic Rush, you got Overhead Kick, you got the beats. You have plenty of opportunities to try and survive in this lane. You don't have the teleport, which is why we're seeing that XP lead. Cozyx getting back.
Let's see what he uses.
Here we go. Cozyx is just going to ult out. Just from some base being shown from Sarpeii. Didn't use the drop kick, didn't use the blink, didn't use the scepter, nothing. Just ult out, get a little safe. However, Sarpeii could look for a regank in a couple minutes now.
Yeah, absolutely. If that Lord of the Afterlife is not back, again, has teleport, doesn't have beads, that's the opportunity now for Sarpeii. As Oracles getting worked on by the left side of the map. And, getting Spudio maybe spun up a bit earlier on in this game would be a nice start for the Niflheim Wargs. 'Cause we saw next to no jungle pressure, if not literal zero jungle pressure on the left. And it took Spudio a full game of farming to really get involved, get to a point where the power spikes were being hit. It gets active early, but so does Pikarino. 9 turns blessing the heal, not in time. And Grasp of Death from Itori locks Sarpeii in, but who's really locked in at this point? As a River's Rebuke and a stun onto Itori forces the beads off, and Pikarino will just have to send some autos. Truly, this is just so similar to game number 1, where you get an early lead, you get early pressure on the right side of the map, and then Sarpeii and Panvich and Predss and Pikarino rotate over to the right side jungle and get more kills dropping.
Yeah, and WorstTurttle was just going for back camps. It wasn't like he was like, I'm going to help you with this blue buff invade. I'm going to commit my body to a fight to help with farm. He was just trying to get his own uncontested farm. Unfortunately, Sarpeii said that is contested farm, and these back camps also belong to me. Great ultimate for Pikarino as well, just to make sure that the Erlang Shen is sort of chain stunned in that slow motion field. WorstTurttle going blink shows that he wanted to get aggressive early, and unfortunately, it means you don't have any beats for all the CC coming your way. So WorstTurtle is going to be a little bit behind in the jungle now, and trying to invade a red buff could be a decent opportunity given the fact that Pikarino has no mana and was not, or actually was able to steal that one away. So getting a little bit of farm on the side of the Wargs and denying some from the Aaru Scorpions. A good look for WorstTurtle, and that gank wasn't in vain.
No, it wasn't. But the Aaru Scorpions already playing with a 1,000 gold lead, a little bit over. So not the end of the world, but this is the style of pace that the Scorpions were able to set in game number 1. Nice little power spike hit for Pikarino. Gets Ring of Hecate online. Didn't have to do much in game 1 outside of sending out the Sanctified Field. But one thing I think went under the radar a bit was, of course, us talking about the right side of the map and the dominance for the Aaru Scorpions. But like in the team fight, Sanctified Field layered on top of a River's Rebuke just felt so punishing. And so often, the Colossal Fury for WorstTurttle just had to be used defensively, but you still got the same core of that team fight here for the Scorpions. You might have to consider. You might have to consider Phantom Shells, things like that, at some point, because that's such a devastating team fight.
Yeah, I mean, Olllly was forced into the upgraded Cursed Donk and the upgraded Phantom Shell so early on. Now, Panvich could be in some trouble here. WorstTurttle makes the rotation over. Mystic rushes up, down, because the rest of the team is on the way.
Wow, Panvich takes the 2v1 because he knows Sarpeii is about to be here. Predss! The Riptide's great, and the River's Rebuke, and the Winds of Shamash, and the damage, and Predss on the board. Cozyx will be trembled a bit. But how about that play from the Aaru Scorpions? You love that. That is just you can sense the communication just from behind the scenes. Olllly transforms. That'll be a disengage from the Aaru Scorpions. The moment Mystic Rush goes up down, you can just tell that Panvich and the rest of the squad were on the same page. So Cozyx at least gets his blue, but the rest of the Aaru Scorpions pick up another kill and more pressure on right.
Yeah, well, you were just highlighting the Sanctified Fields on top of the River's Rebuke. How about the River's Rebuke on top of the Winds of Shamash? Either one is going to be, you have so many different options for your team fight, and WorstTurttle, again, just doesn't have the beats. Is trying to get aggressive, is trying to help his team out. I cannot fault WorstTurtle for these gank opportunities. It just seems like, you know, the Aaru Scorpions are always a step ahead. Beautiful Riptide to catch out the turtle form. There's the Winds, there's the River. And WorstTurtle never had a chance, even with Cozyx ulting in, to try and help out his jungle. It just seems like the Erlang Shen is always in the wrong place at the wrong time, trying to get some gold online for his team.
Yeah, and look, when Sarpeii on this Gilgamesh, nice little net worth lead. I'm looking for the Erlang Shen trail, and I had to go all the way down on the net worth charts. WorstTurtle worth. That is hard. That is surprisingly difficult to say. WorstTurtle worth the least in this game, as far as gold goes. And Sarpeii, the opposite, worth the most. Don't laugh at me. You try to say it. Say WorstTurtle is worth the least.
WorstTurtle is worth the least, but I didn't have to think about it because
right.
you put it in my head. So
I hate it
if it was something I was saying, without thinking about it, it would be difficult.
hate it here. All
But
right.
you said it so many times that it was in my brain.
Well, I
It was
appreciate the
ingrained.
bailout, Trelly. I
Yeah.
appreciate the bailout. It was difficult for me to say. Point is, Sarpeii is a full 1,000 gold up almost. And that really is the gold deficit at this point. Could get worse. Cozyx has Lord of the Afterlife, but a chance to fight back in. This WorstTurtle has got 9 turns Blessing, uses it onto Sarpeii, River's Rebuke. Just in time to keep Olllly in place. And all of the disengage used by the Niflheim Wargs. Riptide is great though. And a double drop kick from Sarpeii, but it goes searching for a kill. Predss adds another. Grasp of Death through from Itori. And WorstTurtle now has just got to watch the Aaru Scorpions leave. One by one, the kills dropping over on the right. Unfortunately, it has all been Cozyx and WorstTurtle. And a nice lead built up again by the Aaru Scorpions.
You gotta hate being Cozyx there because that was 100% a kill onto Olllly that just went awry. You kick Olllly into the wall, Cozyx gets stunned in the process, and then they're like, yeah, we can kill the Osiris. You know, we'll just switch off. Olllly gets to live, and the solo laner goes down. Just a beautiful rotation in, and I think Pred's ult was maybe like half a frame off from catching WorstTurtle forming out, so could have made that the WorstTurtle form, but it wasn't because he made it through the wall. So Pred's catching Olllly, and then Cozyx dives for it. So just an unfortunate series of events for the Wargs. Could have been even worse though. So I imagine they're pretty happy about only losing 1 when that could have been 3 down. Just excellent play from the Scorpions, and Pikarino holds onto the ult throughout that. I thought really was going to drop the Sanctified Field to try and dive that tower. Decided to hold on to it just in case some aggression was on the wayside coming.
Yep.
And the smart play.
Yeah, smart play. Continued smart play from the Aaru Scorpions. Sarpeii really impressed me over these last couple of games. So we've seen plenty of pressure from Sarpeii on right now in 2 back-to-back games. The rest of the team been consistent and rotating over. I guess there's an argument to be made for at some point it's not worth ganking at Jing Wei, right? I mean, if it's a safe enough pick, you're able to get out of these fights. But we've just seen no pressure on purple buffs even, on the lane. WorstTurtle eyeing a purple buff, but not going to respawn. He's going to be hanging out for a little while. And they'll end up having to back away over on the left side of the map. It's an interesting build out of mid, Trelly. Divine Ruin into Staff of Mirrodin for Itori. Normally when we see Staff of Mirrodin, it's much later on in the build and like a weird-looking Poseidon build with Bumba's Hammer or something like that, but Itori likes the itemization early here.
WorstTurttle has spent so much time
there. Yeah, and WorstTurtle's got nothing, unfortunately. Yeah, Lord of the Afterlife's still there, so Cozyx will be safe. And that's just unfortunate. WorstTurtle won't get the buff invade, but
gold.
There's a Gold Fury being worked on. Davy's got Centaurus here. WorstTurtle taking a decent amount of damage. And the Gold Fury ends up getting dropped. Centaurus flies in. Davy, no chance he steals it away. He doesn't. WorstTurtle's low, though. Scorpions get Pyro, Wargs get gold, and actually evens up the game a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely an even trade, but the Wargs are going to like that a lot more, right? So you put some presence on the Cozyx, clear some waves. Davy tries to defend that one as best as you can. I just think you're opening yourself up for Pikarino taking a lot of damage. That's not what I was going to say, but with the Grasp of Death going down, we'll be able to live a little bit longer here. I don't think Pikarino will fall. You're opening yourself up to the Spudio carry that we saw last game, right? Where it wasn't enough to win the game, but you're a level 13, untouched in this lane, as you highlighted. Unless Davy gets super aggressive, is never going to force out that airstrike. So there's no gank opportunities here on the left side of the map. Sarpeii has just been consistently trying to look for Cozyx. Very tanky in his own right with the build path, probably going into that Sovereignty of Gladshield. Once that gets finished, and a Beads gets picked up, or even a Blink, something to have some survivability in this lane, you're going to be wasting your time even more so. So I think Sarpeii happy to get a bit of a lead in jungle, 1-level lead at the moment, but maybe time to look at that looming threat in the distance, and that's that Jing way.
Yeah, it hasn't been as backbreaking as game number 1. Was a few thousand gold at this point.
Ooh.
Oh, we are selling out for this kill. Wow, and if that 9 turns Blessing Head connected, Beats ended up getting used. That's a lot of damage from WorstTurtle. I thought that was like I missed my ult and I gotta angrily run this kill down now. There actually still was a chance there. Davy took a whole heap of damage. WorstTurtle hurts at this point in the game. Unfortunate, though, on the miss. That is the first bit of dual lane pressure we've seen this set so far. And it's just Beads off of Davy. He'll be able to walk away. And that initiation just fine. Sarpeii invades the blue buff successfully. Cozyx will have to watch that one go down. It's about a half-level lead over the Ravana on the other side. And so maybe Osiris has emerged as a potential maybe lane counter to this Ravana if you're able to get enough pressure. Because even with Sarpeii over on this side of the map, Cozyx has been able to stay safe. Well, even in levels.
Yeah, it's kind of insane, but who's not staying safe could be Itori, who's stuck inside the river. Sarpeii gets up, down the Grasp of Death, and the Beats goes down, but still healthy is Itori now.
Wow, wins a Shamash. Nearly buys a kill. Sarpeii with the last tick of damage. Snags 1 as a bit of ranged poke. Pikarino, I believe, helped set up that kill for Sarpeii. This is where the Aaru Scorpions have really made their money. It's like team-wide dives, all for one individual pick. Like one player on the Wargs gets funneled into a Sanctified Field, River's Rebuke, Winds of Shamash, drop kick, and that one person just keeps dying over and over and over and over again. And that's where the Aaru Scorpions have really made things happen. Still 100% kill participation for Sarpeii. Probably the MVP of this set up to this point.
Yeah, and probably holding on to a fair bit of gold at the moment as well. Would love to go back and finish what I can only assume would be either the serrated or the stone-cutting sword. Either one's going to give you some movement speed, some damage, but one is also going to give you some just penetration, where the other one gives some prod tread. So either one would be a decent opportunity. And the reason I highlight that is because either one would also help take down this level 16 Jing Wei, who's the highest farmed on the map.
Yep.
I mean, maybe they're just not worried about it because Spudio wasn't able to hard carry the game last time. 6-0. Top damage on the team, was able to shut down a ton of defenses, but if the rest of the team is that far behind, maybe just better. Cozyx, however, is not that far behind, has been able to stay pretty even in this lane despite all of the ganks, all the blue buff invades, things like that. So the Aaru Scorpions, not too pressed at the moment, but still should be a little bit mindful of Spudio's presence at these team fights once he does decide to rotate in.
Ollie is low, and Ollie is rip-tided. Ollie is tanky up to this point. And so with all that damage in CC, Fafnir still able to stay alive. It's this next rotation of Fury plus Pyro that I think you got to keep your eyes on. About a minute away from both. Went down nearly hand-in-hand last time where the Wargs pulled the Gold Fury. Davy made it uncomfortable, but Davy unable to ultimately turn the tides or steal it away. And Itori, the one being jumped on this time, and Pikarino grabs the kill. And wouldn't you guess it, a Winds of Shamash, a Sanctified Field, and one individual target being picked out. Grasp of Death, unfortunately, only connected with the back wall over in mid. But again, WorstTurtle's strong enough to keep this tier 1 tower alive.
Yeah, and looks like Spudio is going to make the first rotation of the game. Top net worth by a pretty hefty margin. 500 gold ahead of Sarpeii. I was thinking maybe tries to get active now that that Wind Demon's confirmed. You're getting some extra crit chance with the explosive bolts. They just get the Oracles, though. Primal Fury will be back up. Remember, the Wargs got the Fury last time, so they had the vision on this. They knew when it was about to spawn in. And are trying to set up some form of a gank. Davey might walk up into this, but it's going the wrong way. And it looks like finally WorstTurttle finds that.
And Davey galloping away. WorstTurtle blinks over the River's Rebuke. Gotta be a kill onto Davey, and it is. And the Wargs, again, like right around the 20-minute mark, grab first blood in the game, and it's well timed. There's a Fury up and spawning. The Trebuchet is ready to be converted, and it is. Aaru Scorpions spawn themselves a Trebuchet. So Primal Fury being worked on. It's not an immediate pull on the Pyromancer by the Aaru Scorpions this time. Frenzy gets used. Can Predss make a steal happen? Not just yet, and the Wargs confirm the second Fury of the game. Again, WorstTurtle's got to leave at relatively low HP. And despite a 6-1 game, we are brought back to even. And this is the style of play I was asking for the Wargs to have, even if it's a slower game, even if you drop some kills here and there. Be more present, be more active on the map, and the Furies have really helped the Wargs in evening up the gold.
Yeah, I think that it was more so the Scorpions just shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. I mean, you know, an even game is not shooting yourself in the foot, but with so much presence put on the right side of the map, oh, you get Gold Fury, we'll just go for Pyromancer. Gold Fury's worth more. So in the respawn, this time around, don't even grab the Pyromancer because they're a little bit out of position. Davey gets picked, uses both relics, but still is not able to survive. And unfortunately for the Aaru Scorpions, now the Wargs have this massive Jing Wei that is level 18. Got that Gold Fury, no kills in hand, but has the assist for that kill. And it's going to be level 21st in this game, no doubt.
Pyromancer worked on by the Aaru Scorpions. And confirmed by the Aaru Scorpions. A little bit of that gold ends up going back for the first time this set. I mean, there's no gold lead really, but I suppose if we're speaking literally, the Wargs are ahead by a couple hundred gold for really what feels like the first time in this set in general. And a lot of it out of the duo lane. A 2-level lead for Spudio, despite leads rolling elsewhere on the map for the Aaru Scorpions. Cozyx has impressed me this game, despite an 0-2 start on the Osiris, has farmed up safely, gotten about a half-level lead throughout the game over Panvich. Looks like Mono's Mask next for the Raven. That'll be a nice power spike for the Aaru Scorpion solo laner. WorstTurtle won't eat the drop kick. Nine turns blessing out onto one. The rest of the Wargs funneling in. Panvich mitigating so much of this damage. Sarpeii jumped on, and Sarpeii taken down by Olllly. Panvich underneath the tier 2 tower takes the stun, and Ollie's got a double kill, and is it immediately back to the Fire Giant for the Wargs? It might be. And Davey realizes his best chance is just walking down the left side of the map.
Yeah, that was a great grasp of death to hold Sarpeii in place. Now it's a 5v3 situation where Davey's on the opposite side of the map. Predss can go for the steal.
Predss does not steal it away. It's been Predss so often, and the Wargs grab 2 kills on right and grab the Fire Giant. And they are so active now, despite the right side of the map having been a weak point over the last couple games. The Wargs make a big play happen, and it feels like a bit of repayment to the Aaru Scorpions.
Yeah.
The fact that it's Panvich who dies, Sarpeii who dies, that sets up the Fire Giant for the Wargs.
One thing that I'm happy to see, and you know, as this pause comes through, real quick, if you look at Sarpeii's build, has actually purchased the Spectral Armor. This time before Spudio comes online. So putting some respect into that Jing Wei, saw what happened in game number 1, recognize like, hey, it's probably my job, I'm the jungler, I'm gonna have to get to that backline, I'm gonna have to put some presence on the Spudio. I can't be getting crit for 600 every time. We gotta do something about that Jing Wei. Right. Has the Glad Shield as well, so putting a little bit of extra respect to the physical damage dealers on the opposite side. Just Spudio, right? Just Spudio. That's who you're putting respect on with Spectral Armor. And I think that's going to go a long way, because last game, I was sort of like, who is dealing with Spudio, right? Even if you're trying to siege this Titan, who's getting to the backline and not getting 2-shot? It was Panvich, but now you have 2 options for that.
Well, so much. of our conversation in game one was around WorstTurttle and falling behind, and then Spudio later on in the game, to your point. What a difference a different jungler makes. I mean, it was still a bad start for WorstTurtle, 0-2, but not a liability anymore now, able to really have an impact on this game, gets Executioner, kin size a bit later on, you feel like. And so the Niflheim Wargs are actually able to play through their jungle for the first time in this set. So Davey has started to close up the experience gap, as Spudio, of course, already level 20. Full ability-based build for Davey. Spudio just absolutely shreds at this point in the game, and the Wargs, all 5 with Fire Giant, are going to build up this gold lead for themselves over 4,000, closing in on 5K. And Tier 1 and Tier 2 tower still remaining on right. No exposed Phoenix in mid just yet. You've got plenty of time, 2.5 minutes with this Fire Giant buff to really spool up this gold. But the Aaru Scorpions, Trelly, don't seem like the type of team who would shy away from a sneaky play. Try to steal away one of these Fire Giant buffs and pause the game for the moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And given the fact that Sarpeii has that Spectral Armor, could probably get to the backline decently easily. With the Death Temper, with the Silver Branch Bow procced, Spudio's doing so much damage, so it's not going to be an easy task. And Panvich is so far behind at this point. You know, the Spectral Armor's got to come next. And so much penetration has been built from Itori, so you're taking a bunch from the mage as well. I think it's going to be hard to try and defend this Tier 2 tower. You saw how much damage Predss just took, and that was just from Itori. Spudio's going to be doing even more at this point. So the Tier 2 tower attempts to be defended, but will have to be retreated. And I imagine that with that left side Trebuchet being pushed, the Wargs going to have to back up here.
Wargs getting smart to move themselves away. But now a chance for what should be a relatively simple siege over in the mid lane. Aaru Scorpions to be stepping forward. Again, watch out for the team fight. River's Rebuke, Sanctified Field, Winds of Shamash. Onto the proper target is a death sentence, and that target is WorstTurtle. But WorstTurtle hasn't been taken down. Now he is by Pikarino, who's on a killing spree, and Centaurus dealing decent damage to the backline of this fight, just what the doctor ordered for the Aaru Scorpions.
Yeah, that's going to be some extra gold in their pocket now, because the Niflheim Wargs have to back up. Look at that Tier 2 tower, the Trebuchet. One more shot will be able to take it. You know, I called for the fact that they'd probably back up because of that Trebuchet, but they decided against it, and this Fire Giant is going to net the Aaru Scorpions just about as much gold as it got for the Wargs. Unless this Gold Fury goes down, which it looks like it will, the Aaru Scorpions are not going to form a defense up against that. So a little bit of gold going the way of Wargs with this power play. Either way, I think the Scorpions understand their plan, and getting a little bit of extra tank stats onto Panvich is going to go a long way here for this next Fire Giant fight. The Pyromancer is about to spawn in, and it looks like the Scorpions will be able to grab that one pretty quick. And then they have a linear goal here. Get to Spudio, kill the Jing Wei, you know, profit, I guess, would be step 3. And that's just what needs to happen. So Panvich may be saving gold at the moment. Yeah, he's got about 1,600 in hand, so would love to take over level 20 and get that upgraded axe. But I think a Spectral Armor would be a better investment at this point.
Yep. Build starting to finalize across the map at this point. So, a nice lead built up for the Niflheim Wargs going into the next Fire Giant, which will respawn in just a little bit of time, 20, 30 seconds or so. And the rest of the Aaru Scorpions likely to step up. So I think still a win for the Scorpions that your Phoenixes didn't go down, but a massive win as far as setting up for a Fire Giant team fight for the Aaru Scorpions, keeping yourself on the map, not having to worry too much about any particular lane being pushed down by fire minions. In fact, you have more pressure on the left side of the map right now. Not something the Wargs are really going to be worried about, but definitely don't have to worry about fire minions if you're the Aaru Scorpions. So I look now, I mean, you're fighting in the mid lane, things like that, Trelly. That's where the Sanctified Field, River's Rebuke, Winds of Shamash combo, bought the 1 pick for the Scorpions. It's in these jungle fights, these corridors, where you really get funneled in, where that team fight could be more impactful.
Yeah, Sarpei's got the Bumba's Hammer, so getting to the backline will be very beneficial, and it looks like no one knows that Sarpeii has the wraparound here. They already started the Fire Giant, but Gilgamesh is in the back.
Drop kick onto WorstTurtle. Olllly jumping over the wall. Fire Giant's down to half HP. An awkward fight now for the Aaru Scorpions. FG's been reset. 9 turns Blessing forces the beads off of Sarpeii. And so that's a trade WorstTurtle is fine with, if the Wargs are able to delay out this fight until the next 9 turns Blessing is ready to go.
And back to the Fire Giant. The Wargs will go as that ultimate is down, but still such a good engage from the Scorpions here. All of those teamfight ultimates are up while Spudio is just wailing away on the Fire Giant. It's about half HP now, and finally the Scorpions are showing some face.
Fire Giant again burned. Spudio doing plenty of damage to the big objective. Big ultimate still ready to go for the Aaru Scorpions. Winds of Shamash might catch out Olllly here. Watch out though, Davey in the back line being burnt through, and it's WorstTurttle and Sarpeii who have found the opening kills of this fight, but WorstTurtle will be the second to go down. The Aaru Scorpions, despite a hefty gold deficit, have stood strong in the FG pit, and all eyes need to be on Spudio, dealing damage to Panvich. Olllly trying to help out. Pikarino low, but Pikarino backing away from Cozyx, who had the tether out onto a few. Sarpeii re-jumps, drop kicks, forces Aegis and Beads off of Spudio in a war of attrition around the Fire Giant.
Yeah, Sarpeii, I got my eyes on that old cooldown, has the Bumbus Hammer. A second Winds of Shamash could have been the end for Spudio, but it looks like the full retreat. You get the 1v2 trade, and at this point, Davy's going to be back up in about 20 seconds. You're not going to pull that Fire Giant without your ADC, so the Aaru Scorpions get to back up. I'm looking at the relic roundup here, and pretty much everything but one relic was used for both sides. Panvich has the blink, and Cozyx still has that teleport. Besides that, everything is on cooldown. And since Sarpei's beads went down first at the beginning of that fight, we'll be back up first. You got to think a little bit of aggression should be had by the Aaru Scorpions, but essentially a net wash, right? You losing Davy for Olllly and Itori is or not Itori, it was WorstTurttle and Itori is good, but you didn't get anything from it, and now it's a full 5v5 again. All 10 are back, and it looks like the Wargs once again feeling a little bit more confident to try and pull this Fire Giant. Enhanced, still about 2 minutes and 20 seconds out.
Fire Giant again, aggressively pulled by the Niflheim. This is going down fast, but the Aaru Scorpions steal it away. And the Aaru Scorpions now with a chance to win the fight after the fact. That is a massive sanctified field. Predss will limp away from this fight. The Niflheim Wargs won't be as lucky. Spudio drop kicked, and Panvich picks up the kill. Cozyx desperately searching for one, but he will leave empty-handed. The Scorpions get FG. They get 4. And truly, the map state could give them a look at the game.
Yeah, Davy goes absolutely massive there. Steals away the Fire Giant with Centaurus. The rest of the team just slowing down. I mean, that sanctified field was massive. No one could really go for the Fire Giant confirmation there. Ollly's about to run out of the Draconic Forms, surely. And that will be the end of this opportunity to save the game. I mean, this is the first time that Spudio has died this set, and that might be all it takes.
15 seconds on Itori.
This is so slow.
10 seconons on Itori. Yeah, I am concerned about the damage shred. 5 seconds on Itori. WorstTurttle just a couple seconds behind that. Olllly is going to end up going down here, but the Aaru Scorpions, as long as you funnel your damage into the proper spot, should be a game end. Respawns are out. Grasp of Death there as well. Itori finds one, but the Aaru Scorpions making their damage stick, and it'll stick to the tune of a 2-0 win for the Aaru Scorpions. Gotta be frustrating. If losing game 1 wasn't frustrating in the way you did for the Wargs, Fire Minions ultimately ending it. A game where you're 6,000 gold ahead, lose the Fire Giant on a steal, and then the best sanctified field of the set so far, and the rest of the setup to follow, that loses you the game here in game 2. The Wargs have to be frustrated with a game 2 like this, especially to end the set.
Yeah, given the fact that the Wargs are 0-4 at the moment, this was not an 0-4 team performance. They looked really solid. You know, game number 1, sure, following a bit behind, but I think they made a ton of adaptations, right, where they let Cozyx sort of get sat on in game number 1. Were able to nullify that a little bit and play off of the fact that Spudio gained the lead. They got multiple gold Furies early on. They got the gold lead, as you highlighted, and then the Fire Giant fight just... The first one didn't go exactly as planned, but the refight after the fact, just so in favor of the Aaru Scorpions. Pikarino had some clutch ultimates to make sure of it. It's hard to play into the Sanctified Fields, and I think 50-50ing this Fire Giant with a Centaurus available with all of these team fights was just not the smart play. We get to watch Davy steal that one away and then win the fight after the fact.
And look, this Aaru Scorpions team has impressed me, of course, this phase in general. This is the Sanctified Field. And the rest of the Riptides, Predss deserves a lot of shout out in this set as well. Of course, the River's Rebukes were good, but I think the Riptides and the stuns after the fact as follow-up were fantastic. And I think this Aaru Scorpions team, while they have impressed me throughout the phase anyway, they really impressed me today as far as their team play in the early game. Like 4-man rotations to the right side of the map, all of their initiation onto one target. Seemed like the shot calling was clean and consistent from this Aaru Scorpions team early in the game, finding picks, finding leads. That said, did go away from them a bit in the mid of this game, even in the early late game of this game where the Wargs get that first fire giant, grab themselves a decent lead. But you're going to have games like that, and what makes a good team is being able to come back in games like that. And the Aaru Scorpions, Trelly, despite what Phase 1 may have told us, make some changes to their roster, and this is a good team now. They're just one win off of Hex Mambo at the top of the EU SEC here. And they're actually playing a decently paced brand of SMITE, which might catch some teams off guard here in EU.
Yeah, I also want to highlight the fact that, you know, their communication, you can tell, is just so clear. That fact when it looked like Panvich was getting ganked by WorstTurttle, was going to be in some trouble, instead of Mystic rushing out, up, down, says, hey, my team's on the way, he had to know that the rest of the squad was coming and changes the fight. Those are the small little decisions between, hey, are we leaving, are we going in, that sort of thing. It really changes the tide of a game.
Now that has closed the book on this week in the EU SEC. All 2-0s, Hex Mambo, Styx Ferryman, and Aaru Scorpions grab themselves 2-0 wins, and wouldn't you guess it, the standings largely indicative of the teams that got themselves 2-0 wins. Hex Mambo, Aaru Scorpions, Styx Ferryman. Up top in the standings, Highland Ravens, Gilded Gladiators, Niflheim Wargs round out your bottom 3. But I think for the Gilded Gladiators specifically, you know, being one win off of that third, fourth spot should give you some hope, should give you some confidence moving forward. Because, you know, with so much that can change week by week in the SEC, that tells you still got a good shot. I think at this point, if you're the Wargs, though, Trelly, it's about keeping your head. Looking at sets like this, saying, here's what we did well in the mid-game. Here's what we can build on going into next week. Can't rule them out. You string together a couple of wins, of course, things can get interesting. And so to string those wins together, I think it's got to be building on the good that we saw here in Game 2, the good at the end of game number 1. Of course, you'd love to avoid being put into a 3 Phoenix down type of situation. That rounds out this week in the EU SEC and this morning's matches in the EU SMITE Challenger Circuit. It's Friday, and that means the SMITE Pro League is back. So make sure you take a quick break, get your snacks, get your drinks. The SPL waiting room will kick off our day coming up next.